sand, all things.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
we've been blessed in seeing places around the world. My job's taken me a couple of places, but we've had time to go and visit other places as well, and it's
Lovely.
been marvelous, hasn't it?
Yeah,
Oh,
we've had some fun.
we've been blessed in seeing places around the world. My job's taken me a couple of places, but we've had time to go and visit other places as well. Quite an echo back on there.
Yes, there is actually for
No, I closed it. I closed the echo. It's okay.
Ah,
Wondering what it was then, because even with satellite communication on the when you're on a mobile for a long distance, when you hit a bad satellite and they haven't got all the equipment properly running, you'll find there's a delay. But the delay would normally be at 1 or 2 seconds. And that was coming through there at about a 25, 30-second delay. So I'm assuming it's been taken from Zoom and put onto YouTube and then picked up again on YouTube and brought back.
wow. That's a very good analysis.
he's an engineer.
I used to be communication
Wow.
engineer before I
Wow,
retired.
perfect. Very good.
In fact, the country I went to, Oman, just down,
Oh,
I spent 30 years bringing them up into the digital age.
oh,
And I revamped all their military communications from a little radio, hello, hello, with a one-to-one communication, and put in telephones across the whole country. And it was rewarding mentally because I did my job. It wasn't rewarding financially because it's one of the cheapest places in the Middle East. In fact, I could have got more money staying here except paying taxes. But it was sunny and warm.
good
We
to
have a
see
lot of
you.
study
So I need to go. I'm going and I will come back soon.
Okay, Rabbi, thank you.
Okay. Have you ever been to Israel?
No, because of where I was, I could not have an Israeli stamp in my passport. And I'd only got the one passport because all my passports, once I'd been there, because I was there so long, were actually issued in that country. And so they were issued in an Arabic country, and there was absolutely no way would I even dare.
Wow.
And I mean, one of the problems was when I first went out there, I had to get my passport changed because it said government service. And it was an old photograph of me in military uniform, which again was a no-no. So,
Wow.
I came straight out of the British military and I went over there as a contractor working for a civilian company. And then 16 years later, they decided it was cheaper to co-opt me, and they basically conscripted me. So for the last 15 years, I was actually a member of their military as well.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, yeah. I've still got bits of the uniform, which I can now get back into because I've lost a lot of weight.
Lovely. Okay, so we're joined by Angelica, who's I just let her, I gave her permission to come in. I wonder if we will see her soon. Say hi. Today is our last meeting, and I was thinking of, it's 8 o'clock, so I just as well start and reward those who have come on time. So I will just allow Angelica to connect because she is struggling the last technical issues to come inside. But we are pretty much going to sum up what we have learned. We're going to touch a few of the issues that we spoke about, and we'll do a little bit of practice. We'll take some cases or scenarios, and we'll discuss them, how we would go through different stages, and practically I'm sending you off to life and saying, or what have we acquired? What have we learned throughout these few sessions that we had together? And yeah, so shall we start? I will share screen. Okay, so this is the way I started last time. And I am admitting Hans as well. Good evening or good afternoon or good morning by you. I'm not sure what time you are on, but I'm welcoming you. Thank you for joining us. This is our last session for this course, so to call it, and it is we are on Shmirat HaLashon, which is guarding of the tongue, and also adding good in our speech. Okay, so last time we spoke about the difference between, I still didn't fix that, about the good deeds or good actions and the act of charity, which has to do, or donations with money. And we counted the speech, the good speech, in the good actions, while charity was on the other hand side when we discussed it had to do with certain types of crowds and then or means, and the good deeds would be done with those means and others as well, and therefore they have more positivity to them. They're both needed, obviously, and donations are good, but then there are other things that add on to doing good deeds with money or with people who are alive, or with poor people. There are more people around in the world to benefit from much richer types of actions, and Shmirat HaLashon, guarding our tongue, is in one of those things. The next, we went on from there to see how the three parts of our body, three parts of our being, sorry, all contribute and all take part of our being, of who we are, how we act, and how we process, and how they reflect on our Shmirat HaLashon. So we spoke about thoughts and speech, and this time we're going into action, but I would like to review a little bit of the thoughts. So it all starts with encountering something either in the outer world or in the inner world. Our brain processes it, and as long as it hasn't gone outward, we're in control of it. It happens in our own world. But this world that we live in is not about only what goes on in our head. Even though it's the main part of our life, most of our life goes on within our own thoughts and mind, and we don't act out. If we had to compare what goes on in our brain and how much we outwards or how much we inward, and I think it's obvious that so much more goes on within our heads. We don't let everything out. Everything goes through, or should go through, sifts and layers of yes or no. Should I do that? Shouldn't I do that? How should I do that? But that, in a way, determines who we are, very, very strongly so. Other things as well. But if we go through, I will turn it into a different mode, so just that I can see, I can enlarge it. Okay. So we have the thoughts when something comes across to us, somebody speaks bad language next to us or something like that, we will first try to be kind and objective, to give a kind and objective judgment. And we gave examples to that, how misunderstandings happen and how we interpret things in different ways, and maybe there's information that we don't know, and the nature of rumors brings up issues that, you know, they're not true. Like we were speaking of that game where you pass on something to someone's ear and he passes it on and he on to somebody else, and the end result is hearing something that never ever happened or never was said. And we have the believing but not passing on. Okay, let's say we hear something, we have to believe it because it's for the well-being of our children, our surroundings, for ourselves sometimes. But just holding that information within you and fearing that it might be true, being wary, but not doing anything about it, not passing it on to anybody else if it's irrelevant. Only I should know. Let's say if I hear that a certain person I want to do business with is untrustworthy, then I keep that information for myself and I take the precautions and I don't harm him. I don't give him to the police because it's a rumor. It's something that I heard, but I don't have to do something with it if I'm not sure 100%. It has to come to me in a way. Also, the Torah teaches us certain ways that it has to come to you. It can't come from a person talking. You can't believe this information if it comes just off someone's mind, right? If they say something to you, you're not allowed to believe that that's true. You have to see it for your own eyes or understand the situation on your own self that it's true, that it happened, right? So you were there when it happened and you witnessed it. That's when you can start judging, okay? But if you just heard about it, you can't be a judge. Now, there's another interesting thing in the Torah, which you remember that I mentioned in the beginning that there are the 7 mitzvot of Bnei Noach, and one of them is having a judging system. Every society in the world is supposed to have courts and judges. And I'm not sure how it goes for people who are not in the Jewish religion, but for us, for the Jewish people, there have to be 3 judges. There can't be 1 judge there, or there has to be, no, I'm sorry. I take back my words. 1 witness. There can't be 1 witness. 1 witness is not good. There have to be at least 2. And there are rulings that different types of rulings. I'm not a judge. I'm not even saying that I am 100% sure, but coming to a court and saying, I saw Abraham breaking breaking this and this and that, the judge cannot believe the person who came and said that. That is not considered okay to come to a court and tell them on your own, I saw someone do harm, because they cannot believe you. There has to be more than 1 witness. So again, if you did not see this in your own eyes, and don't judge for yourself that this is true. Maybe it's somebody else interpreting in a different way. Am I clear, or am I making is this making sense to you guys?
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Okay. So if it sounds reliable, I wasn't there to see it, but it sounds like I know the guy and I know this is possible about him. I'm allowed to believe it, but not pass on the information. There could be misunderstandings, and I have to think ahead. As we said, we spoke about it, how to plan to do things correctly and not to glitch out information that I'm not supposed to know how to do. So I'm thinking I put it through a process, and only afterwards can I actually act. The next stage would be, the speech, right before the action. Speech is a kind of action, but it's not a total action. It's the mediator between thoughts and action. So now we have the not add fire, which means any piece of information that I would add on to this rumor, to this piece of speech that was presented there. Like, let's say Dara's picky about food she eats. So, okay, or I don't know, just Sarah gained weight. So if you go around saying, oh, yes, she gained a lot of weight, right? You added on fire. You added on more bad language. You added on, the Torah tells us that just adding on that very, or giving a face, or adding on your interpretation of it, not good. It's not to be done. Okay, so that's number one, we have to be wary that we have to be truthful. And if someone said to us, she gained weight, and you're going to pass on that information, you're going to say she gained weight. If you have to say that, okay, if you come to a situation, you can't add on. And if we think back to the spies in the desert, you remember the story of the spies who were sent by Moshe, by Moses, to Eretz Israel, to the land of Israel, to check it out? Is this story familiar, or am I talking something that's not so familiar? Should I go over it again?
I remember the story. And
Okay. Would you like to say it out, to tell it in short?
well, there's 12 spies, and the 10th, two of the spies gave a good report, and the 10 gave a bad report of the land.
Okay. That's the end line, but they actually
Oh.
said very objective things about it. They said that it's a good land. It has big fruit. It has big people. It has all true, 100% true. What was their sin?
Oh, that they didn't trust God to help them conquer it. The land.
Okay.
They didn't
Okay.
trust God.
It's true, but beyond that, they gave their personal opinion of the situation. They're so strong, we will not be able to conquer it. Excuse me, who asked you? That's not your job, right? God sent you. That's what you were saying. They didn't trust God. They gave their personal feelings. They said, we were like grasshoppers in the eyes of ourselves. Okay? We saw ourselves like grasshoppers. This land is too big for us. The people are too strong for us. Nobody asked them to say that. They added on their own interpretation. They could say they're big people. They could say the cities are surrounded, but God is there to help us out. He brought us here. He took us out of Egypt, and he'll get us through this. That's not what they said. They added on, we can't do this. This is not for, we're not strong enough to do this. And that was their sin. Okay, they gave in their personal interpretation without being asked, and they scared everybody. Everyone trusted them. They were the highest level people in the nation. And people look at us. They think highly of us, even if not everybody, but there are people who listen to us and think highly of our opinion. And they do things because what we say. I don't know if we think about that enough in our everyday life, that for other people, we are an authority. You are smart people, you are people who have experience in your life, and people will ask for your opinion. Things that even if they don't ask, but you give your opinion, you state your opinion, they listen to you and they do things because what you say. Just for an example, today I was having doubts about sending my kid back to school because of the coronavirus, COVID. And I was thinking, who can I turn to? Who can I speak to that can give me a clear decision what to do in this case? And I just spoke to my friend and I explained to her the situation. And she said, when this and then, she has 11 kids. Okay. So I was like, if she has 11 kids and this is the situation, she has so many examples to give, and this is the way she sees it, I'm counting on her to know what she's talking about. And I don't know if she meant for me to listen to her, but many people look at us and what we tell them, and it weighs something in their brain. Oh, well, he thinks this and this and that. I guess there's something to his judgment. So when we add on something to what we say, we have to realize people are listening to us. There is something in what we say that might be taken seriously. And therefore, if we add on bad information or we emphasize something, it might change someone's mind to the bad. And we have to take that into consideration. When we put into the thoughts the correct planning, we have to make sure that when we speak, we realize who we're speaking to and how we speak. The Torah tells us that bad tongue can be also spread by a smirk on the face, by a wink, by a laughter, by little things, little body language that adds on information. It doesn't have to be explicitly said. There are many means to pass information. We don't only have to talk with words. There's also like that kind of look on the face, or that kind of look. That's enough. That can be a big piece of information. And we call it bad speech, but then it also touches already the communication and the action. So it's already somewhere there between. Okay, the next thing would be to try to be an advocator. We spoke about it a little bit Do I need to repeat what that means, or you're okay with it? I'll repeat it shortly. I don't know. I don't feel how the understanding is, or if you remember 100%. It means that when you hear something negative about a person, try to think why they did it. Did they have a good reason for it? Were they under stress? Maybe they meant good. Maybe they don't have a clue that I was offended. Maybe they didn't know that I would be offended. Anything good that can come up, why they would do that. First of all, you would like to be judged that way as well. I would like to, because I know I have a lot of glitches and I'm not happy about them. And I hope that people will be kind enough to judge me and in the good way, knowing that truly I don't mean harm. And I have sometimes things that I do that are not so good. So please be kind with me and tell me if I offended you so I can ask for forgiveness, because I don't mean to do any harm or say any harm. Hopefully, I can do that to others as well. And then I gave the example of 3 types of people. A tzaddik. A tzaddik would be a righteous person who glitches and does something bad, and you have to judge him for the good. The Torah says you have to judge him to the good. Give him the benefit of the doubt, because he probably already did teshuvah. Teshuvah is the word for repentance. It's not exactly the same, but it means feeling sorry and saying I'm sorry for what I did, because it's not a good thing. Okay, so let's say I heard someone ate in a place that's not according to the Jewish eating places, okay? And someone tells me that, I saw this in this rabbi and this restaurant. Like, oh my goodness, right? No, you should not say that, because he probably, even if it's true, already realized he did something wrong, and he said, I'm sorry to God and will not repeat that. That should not be spoken about. Then there's a person who does something really, really bad, and he's a bad person. So you can believe it about him, but don't go ahead spreading the rumor. Don't talk about it. And then there's the person that could be judged for good or could be judged for bad, and choosing to judge him to the good is the way God will judge you. Which means if I have someone doing something bad and I have the option to judge him for good, oh, I guess he didn't read the sign on the restaurant, or maybe he just went in to ask for a glass of water, or anything that could be judged for the good, or saying, oh, he doesn't care about eating according to the Jewish rules, or he just shows himself to be obedient to God's laws, but he's not really, oh, he's a hypocrite. I could do that or that. God tells us, if you judge him to the positive, I will judge you to the positive. Be kind and judge him to the positive. That's an important thing. And of course, try not to talk about it. Okay, if you see someone falling, you don't want to be there to be the one to tell everybody. Sometimes my kids read something bad in the newspaper or on the internet, and they run to tell me, and it's like, don't be the ones to tell me bad news. Tell me good things. I don't want to hear all the bad news. I'll find out about it somehow. You just come to me with the good stuff, and get used to talking the good and seeing the good. Changing the subject would be a good idea. And that's a way to get it out of the bad talk, and learn how to be a secret keeper. We spoke about that. That was the last thing, how important, how powerful it is to keep a secret and to be known, have a name of someone that keeps secrets. Okay, now we're down to the action part. So first of all, the Torah judges separate. Every person gets judged for what he did. But there are groups of people who get judged for the group. Okay, if you're caught by the police with a group of drug dealers, the chances that you'll get out clean are going to be lower than if you get caught with a bunch of scientists or a bunch of doctors or a bunch of any other type of people who are not guilty of anything. Which means that when the Torah says, if you are caught with people who speak on a regular basis, who speak the bad language, bad tongue, you will be judged with them for what they did, even if you didn't talk. Okay, so we're notified ahead of time. If you see a group of people speaking bad tongue, keep away. Don't hang out with them. If you know that you're going out tonight with a bunch of friends, and the way they lead discussions is their main dinner is the other family that are neighbors. Every meal they take somebody else and put him on the table. He's the main course. And they dissect everything he does and how he looks and what he does and how he acts. And that's their discussion. Keep away. You don't want to find yourself in the middle of those kinds of discussions. The best action of taking care of yourself is before, not after. Not saying, oh, I'm sorry I was there. I shouldn't have been. Don't go there. Okay, if that's the way to do it. If you can help it, stop other people from going. By the way, I know very few people who speak a bad tongue to themselves or to the walls. Right? You talk to whoever listens to you. And if you don't listen, you're not a partner, you're not interested, the person will probably not continue. That's why our sages tell us that being a listener is worse than the speaker, because by listening, you're encouraging. Now, again, we've discussed the listening part. It's important to be a loyal partner and to listen to things that need to be said. It's not only okay, it's a must. We have to be partners to our spouses and to be an ear for our children and to be there for our friends. We have to, but we don't turn it into a habit of spilling out everything nasty, everything bad, everything all the time. We don't want to be there. We want to be in a place of thinking good and acting good and speaking good. And yes, it happens that it has to be bad as well, fine, but not as a regular basis habit kind of a thing. So we would like to warn others in case something bad is about to happen, and we have to. That's also a moral obligation to help others keep out of trouble. And that's not bad talk. That's not bad language. It's a mitzvah. It's a law. And sometimes we have to show support to people who were hurt, right? As we said before, if someone is offended and he comes ahead and he says, this and this happened to me, it was terrible, that person did something really bad, you have to show them support in a way that can help them. And the last one would be to strive to go out of our comfort zone. Can anybody try to think what I mean by that? What is a comfort zone?
Basically, if you see something happening and it's against you, or sorry, it's against your feelings and things, but you see it happening to someone else, you still go outside of yourself, of what you are used to, your comfort zone, what you are happy with, to help them or to help others. It's being outside of what you are used to and what you believe should happen, just to help.
Right. So a comfort zone, as you said, would be a place that I'm comfortable in, that I'm happy, I'm good, I'm used to it, everything's fine there. But to strive to go out of that place, it's not, I don't know, many people I think would like to, they aim at getting to their comfort zone. That's where they want to go. At the end of the day, we're all aiming to get back to our comfort zone, right? Back to our calm place, happy place, which is important for every person. Every person has to have a place that he's comfortable with, that he can calm down and gather strength for the next day. But to be in that place 24/7, is that a good idea? Is that a bad idea? I wrote strive to get to leave, to go out of your comfort zone. But do you think it's a good idea to strive to get out of there or to get into there?
I think it's a good idea. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mike. It's a good idea for me to get into out there. Because if I don't, how am I going to even learn more? Because the outside of my comfort zone is like, oh, I saw something and I thought, no, this can't happen. So I go out there and I try to bring in the positive part of this to try to give someone a thought, maybe that can change. And then afterwards, I can come back to my comfort zone and say, oh, you know, Hashem, I hope that helped. I hope I was somebody who was there at the right time, at the right moment. And my intention had to be right. My intention of doing this had to be right. Otherwise, if I had a bad intention or a bad thought, oh, well, I'm going to, you know, give it to so-and-so or da-da-da, that would not be a good thing. My intention had to be, okay, Hashem, this is a good thing that I'm bringing. And if they accept it, okay. If they don't accept it, it's fine too. But then I come back and yeah. I don't know.
No, I agree with you. I see many times it's very easy to stay in your comfort zone, see things happening out there and not make struggle within yourself to actually move out and do something and change something, make a difference. It's much easier to stay inside your comfort zone. Even just seeing somebody new come into your community, okay, into your job, wherever you are, into the neighborhood, a neighbor who came in to live next to you. How can you strive to go out of your comfort zone? Let's see, I'm gonna actually ask Hans, can I ask you to think of how could you if you feel uncomfortable talking, that's also okay, just tell me. But if could you think of an example of striving to leave your comfort zone and to with your speech and do a positive action with both speech and action to make this world a better world?
Yes, for instance, if I go to participate in a demonstration, you know, political activism, social activism, that's getting out of your comfort zone to make a stance for something that one believes in. And most people will probably avoid that, you know, because of the dangers concerned.
Very good, very good. How much so if you do it in a correct way, in a nice way, in a way that's you know, that's pleasant and it's not offensive to anybody, but it brings out your own point of what's important to you. Very good. Peter, can you help us with an example from your realm of life and your experience?
Do you mean me? Sorry, I've
Yes,
got.
yes, please. If you would like, I would like to hear you if you have something to add on to the conversation.
Out of my comfort zone. I suppose if you were asked to read aloud to a large group of people and you weren't very good at reading, you would certainly be out of your comfort zone because you wouldn't feel right doing something that you're not a great advocate at. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, yes. And when it regards helping other people, then so much more, right? When you're going to help a person read through something he needs to, and you're uncomfortable about doing that in front of other people, but you know that would be helpful for him, then going out and striving to be in a place of a helper, of someone who can add good. Absolutely. Thank you for that example. Very good. Both of the examples were very helpful.
Okay.
Any other ideas?
Who, me?
Anybody who would like to add in?
Perhaps turning around and providing a shoulder for someone to cry on, sort of thing, to sympathize with them and to give them some comfort.
That would be literally giving them a shoulder, which is an action, and also by meaning listening to them, giving them an open ear, and giving them a good word to help them understand or reflect on how they feel. Absolutely. Even just going over to a neighbor and saying welcome, or as someone said last time, giving a smile, smiling at someone, a very small action with a very large consequence to it. I remember once meeting a person, and I didn't think I remembered her from anywhere, but the way she greeted me, I knew that she knows me because she was like, hello. I was like, oh no, she knows me. I don't know who she is. This is not good. And then I was like, oh, hi, how are you? How's everything? Very, very lovely, friendly conversation. And I was like trying to fish out of her, where do we know each other from? How do you know me? Turns out she doesn't know me. She never met me before. But this is the way she greets people. This is the type of person. She's always extremely friendly. Extremely, something that has no barriers, no fences. Just a person is standing in front of me. Hello. Wow. And I thought to myself, what a lesson I learned from a girl 18 years old. What a huge lesson. I was like 30, I don't know. These lessons that you get by a smile. And when our sages say, you should welcome every person with a hello. Okay, they asked one of the sages why he, I don't know, lived a long life. And he said, I always said hello first. How? Saying hello. Hi. Or hello. And you break into a smile. If you see that kind of smile, you don't stay with a straight face. You break into a smile yourself, and it's like, something's different here. Something is free. Something is peaceful, is quiet, is safe. That's just one example I had in my head, how one can do move out of a comfort zone, because smiling like that, whoa, that's definitely out of my comfort zone. It's not easy to really free yourself and greet a person from your whole heart. Could you imagine walking into a bank and saying hello to the person, to the banker, and that kind of a smile? Wow, what would that give us? Or walking into the grocer, to the woman who sits there and passes through the milk and the tomatoes and the avocados and the chicken, and just goes, hi, good morning, how are you? How are you doing this morning? Or the person who fills our car with gas, just filling the world with good speech, good energies, good talk, knowing truly I'm moving out of my comfort zone right now. Okay, I'm going shopping and I have a whole schedule in front of me. But to one person, I'm going to go out of my comfort zone. I'm going to let her take the wagon, the thing before me, and wish her a good day with a real genuine smile. Once a day, at least. Let's start with once a day of moving out of our comfort zone and trying to make a difference with genuine kindness and goodness that will affect our speech, affect our thoughts, plan forward. Who's going to be the lucky place today? Who's going to be that one person who I'm going to use my energies to try to help and make a better day because of that? Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next slide. And I brought some examples, but if anybody has a different example, maybe that they heard today from someone, or that they heard throughout the week, and they'd like to help us out with examples, please feel free to run them through. So let's do a how is it called? A round. Each one can read out one and tell us how. This is something, let's say, that you hear. Okay, you're walking by, a friend from work, a friend, a neighbor, a grandchild. They tell you this. How do you work your thoughts, speech, and action on every one of those bits of pieces of information? So Angela and Mike, you're the first ones. Would you like to please start?
Well, bad rumors about our children's teacher is a little bit beyond us now. My daughter's 45. So
Yay.
But in things like that, it would be a case of you hear the rumors, but again, you have to find out for yourself. It's not something you can pass on. So one of the things to do, of course, is to talk to the child. And then talk possibly to other parents and saying, what's going on? Have you heard what? Tell me. Because where we were, we lived 40 kilometers away from the school, and it was nearly a 3/4 an hour drive in the morning to take the children to school. So we didn't actually see people at the school. We relied on our children, and I think there's what, three other children on the estate. So we had to ask anything like that. We could not find out. But the rumours would have to come from the people on our area. But again, we would have to go and ask them, because there is no way would we know. And it's not a case of going up and saying, well, have you heard this? It's a case of, I've heard you've said this. Can you please tell me more? You can't turn around and say, oh yes, so-and-so's done this. And if you know roughly where it's been coming from, you go to that source and say, right, you said this, can you please tell me more? I don't know. I need to know.
Excellent.
I would like to know.
Excellent. Yes,
Yes.
excellent. And also to mention, it disturbs me. First of all, I'm turning to you in order, not in order to gossip or to spread rumors, but I've heard a piece of information that makes me weary, that I'm afraid about. Could you please explain to me what this is about? Right? So you're giving him the purpose of your speaking. You're explaining why you're saying what you are, which also helps him not talk bad language. Because if you just said, oh, could you tell me more about those bad rumors? It's like, oh, sure, I'll spread some more stuff. It's like, no, we don't want to get to that. I'm unhappy about what I heard. I'm concerned. It might hurt my kid. I need to hear more about this in order to make sure that I can protect my child, right? So you're letting them know what the purpose of your speech is. Very good. Thank you very much for that. Angela, would you like to take an example?
Sure.
Well, also taking out from the bad rumors from a child teacher, being the mother, I have to stop and consider, what do I know about the teacher? Because you do tend to talk a bit more with other children's mothers. And if you think there's nothing in it, you don't always take action. But if you do know from a very reliable source, then you have to go and ask questions. And that's, again, you're taking yourself out of your comfort zone, because you need to know what's going on in case harm could be done to your child. So yeah, you have your mother's group,
Perfect. Very
yes.
good example. Very good. Going out of the comfort zone. It's very uncomfortable to go and dig out more information because you have to do something about it. You just rather sit down, someone else do it, or hope that it won't be true. But your obligation, as you said, is to go find out more so that you can protect. Very good. Thank you for that. Okay. Angela, would you like to read an example?
An example. Okay. Someone has sworn at someone, and it was in the kitchen. And that person comes to me and says, okay, tell me about one thing. Is it okay for me to swear to someone? And I said, is that what you wanted to do? And this person says, no, but it aggravated me. What happened? And so I said, that person asked me, so is that okay that I can do that? And I said, okay, this is a big question. It's actually, we need to really start from number one. But in a long story short, I had mentioned the intention, why you were this way. How can you change that? How can you improve yourself by not doing that and by not saying these words? And how can you go that route? It's improving yourself. And so I did mention it's actually, when you are doing those kind of words to someone else, you're actually cursing that person. You don't want to go and curse that person. So what do I do? What do I do now? Well, it starts all back to God, all back to Hashem. You need to ask Hashem, tell him that this is what you don't want to do anymore. This is what I want to change this. I want to improve myself. I don't want to do this anymore. But then what do I do now? And I said, that's only part one. The part two is to do restitution for that. So how do I do this? Well, you go to that person And you have to go and you have to say from inside of you, you need to know, what is your intention in doing that? Are you honest doing this? You need to come forward and say, look, I'm really sorry. And, it has to come from the heart and actually change that. That changes you. That changes you in a positive, and then you go on. You don't, you don't stay in that area. You don't stay in that. And always check yourself with your mouth. Always check yourself with your speech. And you practice it. You have to, it's a practice. If you don't practice it, you're never going to know it. You're not going to go there. So, yeah, that person actually said, wow, that is important. I need to improve myself. Yeah.
Wow.
I came from that area too, so I know I had to improve myself.
They say,
so it is practice, 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 and more practice. Yeah.
They say the wisest person of all is the one who has experience. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for that. So I did give a few more examples here, but we are running out of time, and I want to be fair and square about the time frame. So they're just, I'll move on to the next one and excuse the ones who haven't had a chance to talk,
Sarah,
unless somebody would like to add something. Yes.
One thing, I need to go to another lesson that I'm giving with the people from other places in the world. So blessing everybody. Good to see you, Peter. Long time no see. Hans, Angela, Angelica, Mike, everybody. Goodbye, and thank you very, very much, Sarah, for that, for this session. We will continue on with others. Later on, we'll discuss it. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
אני הופך אותך להוסט ואני יוצא.
Okay, כל טוב. Bye, people. Okay, so the next slide just shows us if we have to compare between our time in life and the past. There were societies in the past that were clean from bad tongue. The Torah tells us of a time of a king called Achav. Achav would be in English Ahab. I don't know how familiar you are with the Bible, but in this book of Kings, there was a king called Ahab, and he was not considered a righteous king. He was actually quite evil. He was persecuting Eliyahu. Do you know who I'm talking about? There's a prophet called Eliyahu, and he was persecuted by this king Ahab. But our sages tell us that he was a good king to the people. He was a politically good king, and the people in his time spoke no bad tongue. There was no bad tongue spoken at the time. And I think that we're far from that type of situation. In our societies, we let our tongue run free. But I think that on the contrary, we all have an amazing time in history where we cover our faces and our mouth. And it shows us how important it is. Literally, just close your mouth. You want to live, close your mouth. Put on a mask. This is a whole big deal. When we try to interpret, why do we have this whole Corona time? I think one of the little lessons that I personally took from this is how much a closed mouth can save us and add to a good life. We would like to create a world which works with thinking before action. And this is a prophecy from Yesha'ayah. You call it Isaiah. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of knowledge of the Lord as the water covered the sea. We speak of when the good days come along in any way they do, that the world will not be very different. The people will think before they act, and they will use the knowledge that we have and the good thinking to make this world a better place. Just think of how they just used such a short amount of time. We already have medication for the COVID. It's when all the people come together to use their knowledge, it makes the world a better place to be in. And we're hoping that this will happen in the near future. And our last slide for today had to do with the portion of the Torah that we read last week about the dream of Yaakov, of Jacob, who goes to the mountain of Moriah, Har Moriah as we call it, and he sleeps there and has a dream of a ladder climbing up to the sky. And our sages tell us that when he reached that place, he was actually escaping his brother, leaving Israel and going to a place called Haran. He was searching to go to sleep because God intended him to sleep in that specific place, and he wanted a stone to put around his head or under his head to either protect him or sleep better, maybe a pillow. And he took from the stones of the place, which was interesting. When I looked at the Hebrew Torah, it said he took from the stones of the place. And in the English translation, and he took a stone. So there, it's different. Did he take a stone or did he take stones? Because in Hebrew it says he took stones. So why in the translation does it say he took a stone? So our sages tell us in the interpretation, in the oral interpretation, we have one of the interpreters, the main interpreter of our Torah is called Rashi. I don't know if you've ever heard his name. Yeah, have you heard of him? So Rashi is like the one who did every child speaks Rashi. Every kindergarten teacher teaches Rashi. So he writes about this stones, that the stones had a fight. Every one of them said, no, I want this tzaddik, this righteous person, to put his head on me. And he said, no, I want him on. I want to be used by him. No, I want to be used by him. They were fighting for doing good. And God united them to be one. And therefore, he takes that stone and he turns it into the place where in the morning he wakes up after his dream and he says, oh my goodness, this is the gate to heaven. And he takes the stone and he renames the whole place and he pours oil on it and he says, this is a holy place. This is one stone by them. And God willing, when we will all get together as humanity and be able to overcome the differences and only fight for good and be out there to do our best and to give that smile and to move out of our comfort zone, and to do everything we can for the good of us, but also all for one and one for all. Hashem will be all there for us as well, to make this world a better place for ourselves and to make it a better place for the world of God. So he deserves a better world from us, and from us to go out of each other, of ourselves, to make this place that we live in a better place to live in. That is my end to our presentation and to the course. And I wish that every one of us should be filled with good energies to go out there and do good and add good into the world. And I would like to hear any one of you, if you would like to add anything. I'd like to thank you very much for joining me and giving me this opportunity to meet you and to talk to you and to share something important to me. And I thank you. So if anyone would like to add something or say something, then this is the time. Okay, then I will say the hitraot, as they say. All the best, and thank you.
Thank you as well.
Okay,
Good night.
good night.